So for the first time, Samsung has split the Z Fold lineup in a way we've never seen before. And this time, picking the wrong fold might actually matter. So here are 7 big differences between the Galaxy Z Fold 8 and the Fold 8 Ultra that you should know before you spend around $2,000 on either of them. What's up guys, Sal here. So the first one is of course the display sizes. The Z Fold 8 Ultra leans into bigger screens with a 6.5-inch cover and an 8-inch inner display, while the wide Z Fold 8 is actually smaller at 5.5 inches outside and 7.6 inches inside. So Samsung is clearly giving you 2 very different form factors here. But hold up, that doesn't mean you're getting less usable screen. The wide Z Fold 8 is much wider and shorter, so it actually fits content better in a lot of cases. For regular videos, that wider layout means less black bars and a bigger viewing area. And when you're watching vertical content, simply rotate the phone and it ends up looking much bigger than you'd expect. So yes, on paper, the Fold 8 has the smaller display, but for media consumption, it can actually feel like the bigger display. Now if you rotate the Fold 8 Ultra into landscape mode, that advantage mostly disappears. Both phones end up offering a very similar viewing area, so this isn't really a case of bigger versus smaller, it's about which shape fits the way you actually use your phone. Then there's the price. The Fold 8 starts at $1,900 in the US, while the Fold 8 Ultra starts at $2,100. That's a $200 difference. Personally, if you're already spending around $2,000 on a foldable, I don't think that extra $200 should be what decides your purchase. At that point, it's more about getting the features you actually want. But if you do want to save some money, make sure to reserve yours now for free. You'll get an extra $30 credit, boosted trade-ins, and a chance to win $500 from Samsung. All you have to do is enter your name and email. There are only a few hours left before the event, so don't miss out. The link is in the description. Alright, so next up is the battery. The Fold 8 Ultra gets a new 5000 mAh battery, up from 4400 on its predecessor. The wide Fold 8 comes with a slightly smaller 4800 mAh battery. Samsung rates them at 27 hours of video playback for the Ultra and 26 hours for the Fold 8. That's barely a difference. Even Europe's EPREL real-world battery tests show 51 hours for the Ultra versus 49 hours for the Fold 8. So battery life really shouldn't be a deciding factor between these two because they're extremely close. Now let's talk about the cameras because this is where the biggest difference is. The Fold 8 Ultra gets the full flagship setup with a 200 megapixel main, 50 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto camera. The Fold 8 drops the telephoto entirely, so there's no optical zoom. It also uses a 50 megapixel main camera instead of the Ultra's 200 megapixel sensor. Everything else, including the selfie cameras, is identical. So if cameras are important to you, the Ultra is definitely the better choice. That said, it's not like the Fold 8 has bad cameras. Its main sensor is the same one found on the S26, and it uses the exact same ultra-wide camera as the Ultra. So you're still getting flagship level image quality, it's just not quite at the Ultra's level, and you'll completely miss out on optical zoom. Next is thickness. The Fold 8 Ultra measures just 9mm when folded and 4.1mm when unfolded. The Fold 8 is slightly thicker at 9.7mm folded and 4.5mm unfolded. However, the Fold 8 is also noticeably lighter at 201 grams compared to 215 grams for the Ultra, and people who've already used the wide fold says it feels incredibly light and comfortable in the hand. So despite being slightly thicker on paper, its lower weight and wider aspect ratio actually makes it feel better to hold than the Ultra. There's also a RAM difference. Samsung is offering a 16 gigs of RAM variant on the Fold 8 Ultra if you buy the 1TB option. The regular Fold 8 tops out at 12 GB even with 1TB of storage. So that's everything that separates these two phones. But let's talk about what they have in common because Samsung is bringing some huge upgrades to both models. The biggest improvements are to the display, and there are 6 major upgrades here. First, the display is much brighter. The Fold 8 Ultra now reaches 3600 nits of peak brightness, up from 2600 nits on its predecessor. Second, Samsung has added an anti-reflective coating on the Ultra's inner display to reduce glare and reflections. Third, both models get a higher display resolution, so text, images, and everything else should look noticeably sharper. Fifth, the ultra-thin glass is now 33% thicker, making the display stronger and giving it a more glass-like feel. And finally, probably the biggest improvement of all, Samsung has reduced the crease dramatically on both phones. Early impressions suggest it's now far less noticeable than on previous generations. And yes, both phones are not only getting bigger batteries, but also faster charging. Wired charging has finally been upgraded to 45 watts from 25, while wireless charging gets a boost from 15 watts to 20 watts. So overall, this is a major upgrade year for Samsung's Fold lineup. Bigger batteries, much better displays, improved durability, faster charging, better cameras, and an entirely new form factor. There's a lot to like this year. And speaking of upgrades, the Watch Ultra 2 launching alongside these phones is also getting some massive improvements. Click here to watch that video and I'll see you there.